it's funny because when the night started, I wasn't even really gonna tune in that deeply. I mean, I was gonna touch on it, but I wasn't like locked in like I was on like March 3rd, right? There's like other
Right.
races that I was absolutely locked in for. Just, I mean, we were at 98 too, right? That's that's where we lived most of the day. That's where we lived for the past few days,
Yeah.
and boy, was it a barn burner. I could only imagine traders who were buying El-Sayed at 95, 96, 97, 98 cents, just sweating that one out. But yeah, everyone, welcome to the PredictIt podcast. I'm Jacob Studwell, I'm here with Garth Yuckham. That was an absolute night. There's actually so much more to get to, not just in Michigan. I want to cover some house races in Michigan, some primaries, some things in Kansas, interesting developments in Missouri, and then we also have the week that was before last night. So
Yep.
we have to just kind of jump into things. Garth, any takeaways? I mean, AP has not called the race, but Vote Hub and lots of other outlets that I do trust have called the race. What are your top line thoughts on El-Sayed squeaking one out?
You're right. It's an interesting one. It's been as you stated, living in the 90s for quite a while. I mean, all the polling pointed to it, and now early this morning it was at 1.7, I think, points between the two, with
Mhm.
Wayne County, naturally coming in a little late. Detroit and Dearborn.
Yeah, and
Um,
let me just cut you off right there. I know we clap for states who count their votes fast.
we
Unfortunately,
do.
today we're not going to clap for Michigan. You have to get in 50% of the vote before it hits midnight. And Michigan, you didn't do it. So maybe just a
Well,
little snap for
Well,
you, maybe?
how about a soft clap? A
A soft
soft clap,
clap.
because
Soft clap.
this morning when I was reviewing things, it was at 90%.
True.
So, that's not horrible.
I
Um,
don't mess with a 4 a.m., 5 a.m. drop from your biggest county. I'm sorry, that's not it. Your polls closed at 7
yeah.
p.m. local time. Like, get it in before to 1 a.m. I'd stay up till 1 a.m., but once I saw it was going to be 4 a.m., I was like, I'm out. I'll wake up at
Well, then
7.
you're hitting my territory, so then that's fine. We got it.
Right?
We got it covered. So okay, we don't have to worry.
It's true. It's true. Sorry, I cut you off. I know you had a flow.
No,
I
no,
just,
no worries. I think it's interesting. I like how traders seem to be so certain on the fact that it's El Sayed, and yet, technically Detroit and Dearborn, some of these votes are going to come in the mail-in votes for Stevens, and so it should be interesting to see how tight it gets,
yeah.
considering the polling kind of pointed to a slam dunk.
It's a
Um,
lesson on certainty here, right? It's a lesson on
yep.
certainty. 98-2 is basically about to be called. That's not, oh,
Yeah.
we're trusting the polling.
Right.
98-2 is a completely different thing. And I said this on Twitter. I was covering it very extensively. If you bought it 2 cents on Monday, midday yesterday, you might have even been able to get Stevens at 1 cent. You had
Yeah.
so much time to unload at 12 cents, at 18 cents. You could have 10 extra money, 12 extra money. And that's what the low prices give you opportunities on. Just kind of living in that low range. And that's the important thing for traders to remember, especially when we go into 2028 with large fields of candidates who are all worth 4 cents, 3 cents, 2
Yep.
cents. If you're reading the map correctly, you're reading the calendar correctly, you're able to get your candidate maybe at 2 cents, maybe at 3 cents. They pop in no longer Iowa, they pop in Nevada, and they're going to surge up to 10 cents. That's 5x.
Yeah.
That is way more important than if you're buying a candidate at 50 cents and you're getting out at 75 cents.
Yep.
That's half of what you could make in some of these markets. So those low prices, really important to watch those carefully and make sure those things are calibrated, because clearly last night it was not calibrated at all. Traders were wildly certain for kind of no reason at all.
Well, they were certain until that you had the drop in the middle of the night, and Stevens jumped to 20 cents. So if you got her at 1 to 2 cents, I mean, you crushed it. I mean, because
Yep,
it quickly went
absolutely.
right back down. Tons of trading going on the market, and you're right.
Yeah,
So
and let's just say that I mean there was a report midweek that basically when Stevens was kind of on death's doorknob, basically said that Stevens is absolutely going to endorse El-Sayed for the general against Mike Rogers. Totally makes sense. The closing message from the El-Sayed team was a unity message. They clearly got the message, hey, this is not a clear mandate. This is not Mamdani winning by almost 10 points. This is a very close race that we eked out. And by the way, props to El-Sayed as well, because if you look at the spending numbers, unbelievable spending
Yeah.
for Stevens from the establishment, from AIPAC. You had 6 outside groups spending $62 million for Stevens. It was a 9-to-1 spending advantage. Half of that was AIPAC, Super PAC,
Yep.
32 million from them. That's the most they've ever spent in any federal Democratic primary this cycle, which is crazy because we
Yep.
keep talking about them. So this was the peak here. All for none,
Yep.
I guess, and we're gonna miss.
Yeah.
And that's the Michigan way. We're gonna say wave goodbye to our favorite Haley Stevens. I honestly hope we get more. I mean, she's still in Congress for a little bit longer. We'll see what happens next for her. But very
Right.
impressive from the El Sayed team, just eking one out. It's an expectation game, right? You had a bunch of polls that were in double digit numbers, and you think, oh wow, this is going to be a 5 to 10 point route. And when
Right.
that doesn't happen, you tend to think, oh, we almost lost. It almost feels like a loss. Definitely not a loss, but it is troubling for the general. And that was one of my
Yeah.
clearest surprises. The general market did not move at all. It just stuck at
No.
66 cents all night. Now it's at
Yep.
67 cents, but Democrats
Yep.
still are favored to win in that market. It's interesting because I kind of liken that closer to Maine. But I guess traders still think the macros are most important.
Yep. No, I mean, I think that's the biggest takeaway, considering how close the race was or is still, without AP calling it. These macros, this environment is still pro-Democrat. Doesn't matter which direction you're going. El-Sayed was a better candidate in this case, and right now, traders think that he will be what is it, Peters or no Rogers, Mike Rogers from on the
Rogers.
Republican side who was unopposed, Trump backed, and you kind of have to agree with that just based on putting your finger in the wind, read some news headlines. I mean, it's still the Republicans haven't gotten their act together on the issues that matter, and we still
Right.
have to deal with Iran. And I feel like we just keep beating a dead horse on this. But you're right. The macros are still the macros, and there's no reason for us not to believe in them right now.
Yeah, I think it's a better reminder on kitchen table issues are more important. El Sayed definitely strayed away from that a bit. Campaigned with us on Piker in the last week. I think those
Yep.
things are not necessarily going to curry favor with voters, and they're not going to get you those
No.
Mamdani margins that you're looking for. Mamdani did not. Campaign exactly how El Sayed did, and you really want to look at one over the other. Look, El Sayed was always going to have a tougher time in
Yep.
Michigan than Mamdani did in New York, but
Sure.
still, if you're modeling your campaign after one candidate, it's not going to be El Sayed's, that's for sure.
Right. I mean, but it's an interesting point you make about Mamdani and El Said, and the fact that Michigan is not blue, it's purple.
Yeah.
So there is still some swing, and then his electability, or that electability question, maybe that will come a little bit more into focus. I mean, because he is pretty charismatic, and if the
Yeah.
Democrats can unite behind him, McMorrow already endorsed him shortly thereafter, I think before midnight. So there is some hope there, I think.
He's charismatic, but not in necessarily a relatable way. I think he's like a Rhodes Scholar, right? He's
Right,
more eloquent and almost like a little bit gives "I'm smarter than you" energy, which is not what Mamdani gives. So you
right.
kind of want to be a little careful. It's not the same strain of politics. Again, still won, still eked out a win, but definitely should be fighting as hard as possible in the general. I would expect, and McMorrow already endorsed El Sayed, which is by the
Yep.
way, McMorrow, who Who has McMorrow to thank more? Stevens for making it close or El-Sayed for actually getting the win? I can't tell. I don't know.
Well, Stevens for sure, I think. I mean, 4% that McMorrow brought in, and she dropped out in early July. I
Ooh.
mean, that's, oof. I mean, she almost cost El Sayed. So I
Yeah.
think the least she could do is give that endorsement, right?
Yeah, but McMorrow still pulled in, I think, 3%.
Four
So
percent,
4%.
4%.
So if Stevens got that endorsement, I mean, clearly maybe Stevens should have worked a little harder on that McMorrow endorsement. Could have
This is
pulled
true.
her over the finish line. Shoulda, coulda, woulda,
Yeah.
right? All right.
Well, of
We've
course.
done enough on the Michigan Senate race. Let's move through the rest of the races last night. Again, interesting across the board. I love when it comes as a surprise. We had the rematch in Missouri's first district, Cori Bush and Wesley Bell. Cori
Yep.
Bush just handed another loss pretty handily. Good to know kind of where we're at. Again, the squad has a mixed reputation across the
Yep.
board. The DSA is not always going to trounce, and in Missouri, it was Wesley Bell just handed another L to Cori Bush. I, you can't really survive two losses. I don't really know where Cori Bush goes from here, but that's notable. I don't know anything on Missouri.
Well, not necessarily on Missouri because I think the what's his name who just beat Corey Bush.
Wesley
He's
Bell.
more of an Wesley Bell. Thank you. Is more of an endorse is a more of a establishment pick, and handily beat Bush in this race. I don't even think it was close. You were talking about the squad. It was a mixed evening. Kind of the headline we were going into, and the reason I bring this up or trying to bring this up is, this conversation about which direction the Democratic Party is going to go, and we kind of saw Michigan, or well, in Missouri in this case as well, because we can drag in, the St. Louis area
Yep.
as well. We kind of got a mixed bag out of last
Yeah.
night.
Another
So
mixed bag.
we've got the headline in El-Sayed, but the rest of the results were kind of middle of the road. And we haven't talked about Lawrence, who was backed by Bernie Sanders.
Yep.
He won. Will Lawrence, who's an organizer. He beat a retired Navy SEAL and Matt Mazdam. And this is a Slotkin pick here.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a progressive win. But the reality is it's kind of somewhere in the middle. The results.
And I think
Um,
that's actually perfect for Democrats for, how many times have we heard a Big Ten party, Big Ten party, Big Ten party. And it
yeah.
kind of falls on deaf ears, but when you see these results, it is so mixed across the board. You saw
Yep.
some establishment candidates winning, some losing handily,
Yep.
some
Yep.
DSA members winning, some
Yep.
losing handily. You saw populist Cindy Holscher winning the Democratic primary for Kansas governor, defeating an establishment-backed candidate.
Yep.
You saw, I mean, this is kind of separate, but Governor Katie Hobbs in Arizona is now picking a Republican as her lieutenant governor running mate. That's really interesting. Again, we're just
It
kind of
is.
seeing the shaping of the Democratic Party going into the midterms, going into 2028. It is
Right.
starting to feel like Big Tent might be an accurate way to describe this.
No, I agree, and it's it's running away from the narrative that the DSA or the progressive wing is going to dominate the message going into the midterms. And it's if you read the headlines and you read the previews before each of these primaries, whether it would have been New York or Colorado or
Mm-hmm.
Michigan or Maine or et cetera, and we'll see more because we've got more primaries coming up. The DSA has been put up there as this like punching bag, right?
Yeah.
Reason that the Republicans are going to succeed in November, or at least have a chance in November. And I think, as you said, it's kind of a perfect result for Democrats because it's
Yeah.
such a mixed bag. You've got your big
Right.
tent, and you've got, you can't really just focus on that, and it makes it harder to build that messaging that really sticks, because there are so many different races in play this midterms.
Totally. And just one last result on the Republican side I want to mention. Thomas Smith, who I don't know by this Twitter user, a complete rando who dropped out last month, and never filed a campaign finance report, doesn't have $1 in his account, beat Trump endorsed and it's stumped by with Trump. I mean, he was on the stage with Trump in Michigan. Amir Hassan losing to Thomas Smith, which is the most generic name ever. I mean, it's so perfect.
Yeah.
Like by 15 points. Okay, by over 1,000 votes, Thomas Smith beat, and that's in Michigan's eighth. It's safe to say that I think Michigan eighth. Ooh, Trump won Michigan eighth by 2 points. It's now going to
Yeah.
be, I think, Democrat won in November. That is not going to be a pickup for the Republicans. Unfortunately, that was definitely one that they probably watched. One of those seats that is held by a Democrat, but Trump won. Unfortunately, not going to happen there. But that's my favorite result of the night for sure.
I mean, does he even exist?
I don't know actually. I saw a picture, but it could have been any like
Could
guy
have been
with
anybody.
old guy with white hair, right? Like I Thomas Smith. Who is he? I saw Amir Hassan. Like I know he exists. He's a fine
Yep.
looking fellow, but there's no. I have a video of him too to prove that Amir Hassan is real. But unfortunately, it's not interesting, so I'm not going to play it. If it's not Haley Stevens,
Fair
we don't
enough.
play it on this podcast. So.
Exactly.
All right. Now we have to get to last week because we talked probably 3-4 weeks ago, maybe a month plus ago. You were saying I think Democrats just have to like quiet down and let Republicans and Trump do their thing and good things will happen. And that's
Yep.
pretty much what happened. Since Graham Plattner dropped out, it's been very quiet on the Democratic side. Okay. I mean, there's been some, whatever, party infighting because there's primaries, but nothing
Sure.
grabbing headlines. And last week, there was just a string of incredible polling. First of all, Donald Trump's net approval reached all time lows on 50 plus 1. His net approval was at negative 24, beating the previous low by zero point 0.4, which was on May 27th. So all time lows. Then you had Fox Senate polls in Georgia.
Yep.
Ossoff plus 13. In North Carolina, Cupper plus 9. In Ohio, Brown plus 8. In Iowa, Turek plus 4. You had a good Fox News poll in Texas, Tallarico up 3 points. You also had another Fox News poll from Texas, or sorry, not Fox News poll, Texas Southern poll, Tallarico up 2 points.
Yep.
You had Democrats favored in every single forecast. I saw 231 seats floating around to the GOP's 204. Lots of models now saying 53 seat majority for Democrats. You even had Schumer going down into a fundraiser for a Democratic Senate candidate in Mississippi. He made an appearance for a candidate in Mississippi. Yes, this is Democrats, and this
Wow.
is not 1928. Okay, this is 2026. Schumer is down in Mississippi. Uh, are they just riding a beautiful wave of momentum, and can they carry it all the way?
I mean, again, we go back to the macros. I mean, what are we looking at here? I mean, the Iran conflict. We started firing back at each other, and then magically now we have a deal that's being worked on again. Oh wait, is it Groundhog's Day? I mean, we're like it's the same
Right.
thing over and over and over again, and we're just wasting time to get to the affordability message in which the Republicans need. I mean,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
America is expensive. I just got back from there. I spent 2 weeks there and, well, I don't have any more money. Let's just put it that way. Okay. The
You left a
hummus,
kid over there because it's cheaper that way.
I
You
left a
just
kid over
left
there
one of
because it
them.
was, yeah, just easier to get rid of one. No, it's, you can see it, you can feel it. If you've had your feet on the ground, I mean, take it from the resident European over here. I actually, today, and this is a slightly separate thread, but I finally figured it out. Americans always look at Europeans and think that they're lazy. Well, we don't have any air conditioning over here. And I just rode the tram to get a haircut. And it must have been 98 degrees in that tram. It was cooler outside. How can you get any work done? So no wonder the Europeans are on vacation in July and August. It's too hot to work. So yeah, again,
That's the key. AC
that's the
is the
key.
key. Good to know.
AC is the key,
Your haircut looks
and
great, by the way.
thank you. And my nose is fixed too.
Yep,
Like,
looking good.
I'll get off my soapbox here, but the point is really simple. Democrats, be quiet. Let Trump take the news. The polling will come your way because everybody who is anybody, lives it every single day. They know how much gas costs. They know how much food costs. They know how much it costs for property taxes. They know exactly all of these things that are working against the American family. And, if you're the party in power, that's not good news for you, especially if you say
No.
nothing that's trying to fix it. I mean,
And it's also interesting. Again, Democrats were scandal laden for like about a month and a half with Graham Plattner, swapped
yep.
him out. Now you have Max Miller taking the cake for crazy, way crazier scandal on the Miller side. That's nonpartisan to say that the Miller thing with his father-in-law being a senator from the
Well, right.
same state he represents, calling him out
Yeah.
to drop out. He's refusing to drop out. There's a restraining order. I mean, the details they just get darker and
He,
darker by the
he
day.
asked for his
Uh,
own ethics review. I mean, like, he's like, come and get me. So he's not laying down. He's not exiting the side door. No, he's taking on the senator from Ohio. I mean, that's not a good look.
no, he's
Even if
sucking
he's
up all
right,
the oxygen.
even if he's wrong, it's just not
Right.
a good look. And
No.
again, as you just said, sucking up the oxygen so that we continue to talk about this over and over again and not focus on the issues that matter.
What's funny, he's not even the congressman who decided to withdraw their reelection campaign. That was
Nope.
Congressman Chuck Edwards, who was accused of hitting on staffers, and he dropped out at 3:30 a.m. this morning.
Yep.
So it's not just one scandal; it's multiple scandals. At least Chuck Edwards bowed out, and we won't have to say his name again. But Max
Yep.
Miller's going to continue to draw the headlines. He was just on CNN. I'm sure he'll be on CNN again, sucking up oxygen. And what's interesting is we haven't heard from Trump in kind of a while, and I don't know, it's interesting. It's new. I feel like he's kind of lost his way of directing and commanding the spotlight, which is a very weird feeling it's the first time in a decade basically that it doesn't feel like he can just say spotlight me and it just happens, right? Like
Well, right, and especially because the Senate's in session at the moment, and they're about to go on a 5-week recess. Oh wait, that's our favorite thing to talk about: the Senate not working. And John Thune is gotten on his soapbox and said, "Well, I can't count to 50," and
that's
I
the
think he
best
said it
part.
about 100 times.
Yep,
And
yep.
maybe Trump's finally heard him. That's just not going to happen. They did at least, kind of potentially maybe avoid a government shutdown, but they haven't actually, signed and sealed that deal. We'll wait
Right.
probably after the recess to blow that all up. So maybe
I
Trump is
guess they
just
have
playing
time.
some golf, like, most normal people, and in the summer and enjoying some of the sunshine and nice weather.
I'd avoid his golf course in Florida. There was another man
Yes.
arrested with lots of guns and ammo on his golf course. So again, we do not condone political violence. That is awful. But I would
Yep.
steer clear of Mar-a-Lago for the time being. By the way, so U.S. is apparently nearing a deal. I don't know if it's 30 days. I don't know if it's 60 days. I don't know if it's even going to last that long. Are they going to charge fees? Are they going to let European countries clear the sea mines? I mean,
Right.
just could you envision anything that's less important to talk about? And it sounds like you remember when Trump, it was probably like 3 months ago, 4 months ago, said, I'm going to treat this midterm like I am on the ballot. I am going to stump for my
Yep.
candidates. I'm going to make sure Republicans keep the House, keep the Senate. Now there are reports out that say, nah, let Congress do whatever. I'm just going to, unload some executive actions and do my thing. I'm not really worried about Congress. It's not really important, which that's taking an L, I think. That's like pretty clearly taking the L in August.
Well, they also said that there's going to be a party convention September 9th through the 10th in
Yep.
Dallas to rally the troops, if you will. Um, has anybody been talking about that? Does
Forgot
that
about
even,
it
is
until you just mentioned
it,
it. Good call.
I mean, because this is about the same time, right? I mean, he said that he's going to put his back into it and support his party, the party that he ran on, so that he could be the president. And yet, we're not even talking about that. But maybe, in September we'll get to it after August, once everybody's back.
Yeah, I know. We're talking about Blanche a lot. Blanche definitely coming up early and often. Let's see. I don't know if there are any more interesting markets. I do just want to mention with El-Sayed's slight struggle in Michigan, there are some worries about Hong in the governor's uh, primary in Wisconsin. Hong right now sitting at 83 cents. That's down a considerable amount. Hong was at 95 cents. So I think traders are kind of learning their lesson here. And they're like,
Yep.
95 cents is probably not actually where she should be priced at. Again, traders just getting greedy and at least got a slap on the wrist and understood. What's funny is I actually do think Hong should probably live near 90 cents because 20 plus point polling results are
Yeah.
better than 15 plus point polling result. Like you
Yeah.
shouldn't learn
No,
too
I
much
mean,
of it. You're overcorrecting a little bit now.
not to do the sports analogy, but 15 or less is kind of like the 2-0 in soccer. But if you're
Yeah,
20
right.
plus, you're like at 3-0. The game's
Yeah,
over,
yeah,
pretty much, so long as you don't
pretty much.
stop
Right.
playing,
Exactly.
right?
Well, Hong, I don't know. It depends on what you think of Thanksgiving, whether or not Hong stopped playing or not. But again, a clip that I won't show on the show, but she was asked about Thanksgiving if she's going to cancel the holiday. She did not say no, and also, if you some old tweets were revealed, seems like Hong's just kind of out on all holidays. Doesn't like Halloween. I
Oh,
think
okay.
she said some bad things about Valentine's Day. I don't know about Christmas. Can't confirm or deny. But it's just kind of I don't know. Not a great DSA candidate to kind of shine into the light, and that's why Fox News had her on. Right? It was kind of a
Well, of
perfect
course.
gambit. But you know what? Governors races are a little bit separate from the federal races. It's a little bit like a sideshow that is important, but it does. I don't think it's tethered. Nate Silver had good points on whether it was tethered to the national environment as much or
Right.
not. And governors' races do seem to be less correlated with national environments, with well, let's say it's Democrats plus 6.5 on the generic ballot. That's not
Right.
necessarily going to help Hong out in the general. So
No.
that's one to watch. But I do think Hong right now trading for 84 cents. I think this race is over. I would buy it 84 cents. And I was freaking out that El-Sayed was at 95 cents. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. So two things can be true. You got to just kind of adjust your thinking per each race. Each race is different, right?
Yeah. No, no, 100%. But like, can we get back to that Thanksgiving thing? Like, really? That's the greatest holiday of all time. You literally
Garth,
just friends,
you're
family, and
preaching to the
food.
choir. It's the best holiday. It just like is
The
the best
best.
holiday. I it would be like I would staunchly defend Thanksgiving on
I mean,
any
like,
talk show that I went on. Like
come on.
I know, right? What's more American than Thanksgiving? There's really not
Oh my God.
much.
There isn't. I mean, there isn't. I mean, there's a reason I've got a 22-pound turkey here in Prague.
It's true.
You
It's
got to
true. You
celebrate.
always flout your turkey size. Yeah, that's
Yes.
true. Very impressive.
Yes.
And I don't know how you
Very
fit it.
thank you.
I assume your ovens are smaller in Europe, right? So like I don't
Very
know
much
how.
so. Oh, you just kind of shove it in there and it just kind of like, it just works.
Very nice. Very nice. Last
Okay.
piece of news for you. Mike Lindell stepping down as My Pillow CEO to focus on the governor's race that he just realized he can maybe win. So good for
Yes.
him.
Yeah.
I would have thought this came like 4 months ago, but no, he just turned around and said, actually,
Well,
I can't uphold my duties as My Pillow
well, I mean,
CEO.
when you're at 80 cents, this morning, the traders are backing you. It was a good
Yeah,
decision. Seems like,
it's good
and
stuff.
we'll find out next Tuesday if it was the right move.
Honestly, that's probably a little high for Mike Lindell. I think if
Definitely,
what was his name? Amir Hassan tells us anything, the Trump endorsement doesn't
this is
always win
true.
you anything, even against a guy who dropped out. All right. That was every piece of news for the last 7 days. Garth, do you have anything to add?
Nope. I'm going
Beautiful.
on
All right.
vacation.
Our new senator going on vacation. Thanks
Very
everyone for
good.
listening along. This has been the PredictIt podcast. Jacob Studwell, Garth Yuckham. Follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, x.com/@PredictItPod, youtube.com/@PredictItOfficial, Amazon Podcast, Deezer, everywhere. I'm not going to list them all. Have a great week, and if you're a senator, enjoy your vacation.
Yep.